I did the most amazing first take and it didn't record. I'm Nichole, and I did the most amazing first take and none of it recorded. I'm Nichole Hill, and the camera's here. I'm Nichole Hill, and I will be leading a course on what fiction can teach us about true storytelling. So the idea for this course was really born out of my experience developing and launching my show, The Secret Adventures of Black People. On the show, I want to tell very regular, very ordinary, everyday stories about Black people, but I wanted to do it in a cinematic way that didn't rely really heavily on my narration. So I turned to shows like CBC's Alone and The Shadows, and especially Have You Heard George's podcast, which is just gold. I would encourage everyone to listen. Well, if you're in this course, you will listen. And what I learned from those shows, or what I took away from those shows, were different ways that I could use sound design and characters and premise to tell stories in a way that's highly immersive and would engage all of the listener's senses and give them sort of the feelings that I was having listening to these stories. And I really loved it. And so from there, I kind of looked at the world of fiction and really dove into the ways that fiction is using those three elements, that character, building out your character, your premise, and your sound design to tell true stories. And I especially turned to The Truth, which is also an amazing, it's a completely fiction podcast, and I am actually now associate producer there. And so what I loved about the world of fiction is that nothing was off the table. And so you could pick and choose what you want and then bring it back and tell a true story in a way that's really imaginative and creative and can help put the listener into whatever your frame of mind was when you heard the story. And so that's what this course is about. We'll spend 4 weeks together. And during that time, we'll look at the ways that fiction podcasts are approaching character, premise, and sound design to tell really immersive stories that engage all of the listener senses. In week 1, we're going to look at the history of audio fiction, and we'll also look at the ways that nonfiction podcasters are using elements of fiction to tell their stories in really creative ways. Week 2, we'll get to do a little bit of a listening lounge, which I'm looking forward to. And during that time, we're going to listen to a couple different nonfiction podcasts and look at the ways that they are using those, the character, premise, and sound design to really build out their storytelling, and we'll debrief what we've heard. In week 3, it's your turn. So you can bring a story idea, an outline, a script, or even an audio sample. And in small groups, we'll offer one another structured feedback on the idea that we've presented. And in week 4, that's when you'll share your idea with the whole group. And again, it does not need to be a fully formed 20-minute podcast episode. It can be an outline, a script, you can pitch us a story, or it can be an audio sample. That's 3 to 5 minutes. But that'll be our opportunity to give one another feedback on our idea and the ways that it's developed and the ways that you're using fiction to build out your story. And then we'll also debrief our time together in the course in general. And that's really it. All you need to join is access to Zoom, a story idea. Again, I just want to say it for the people in the back, it does not need to be a fully formed podcast episode. You can start off with just an idea, and over the course of our 4 weeks together, we will build it out further using elements of fiction. But you don't need to come to the door with a fully formed podcast episode or show. Bring us an idea and let's build it out together. And then the final thing you'll need is a big imagination. I'm going to really encourage us to go all the way left, to take nothing off the table, be as imaginative and kid-like and fiction-focused as possible, and then bring those ideas back to our true stories, and we can pare it down from there and take what we like and leave what we don't, and see what we come up with together. So that's the course. That's my time. I hope to see you there.